Hi, I'm Carole Massey. I'm going to show you various techniques of using water-soluble pencils and water-soluble graphite. They are an excellent medium both for the beginner and the more experienced artist because they give you the control of a pencil with the freedom of watercolour. But before we start thinking about painting, let's go inside and I'll show you some tips. The first tip is to familiarise yourself with your colours in the box. The darker ones in particular can look quite different when you add water. Here's ultramarine, Delft's blue, burnt carmine, and a dark brown, burnt umber. Now let's add some water. Now I'm going to add some water on the paper and put one of the colours over it, first on the wet part and then on a dry part. This is a black. You can see as it dries out, it gets much lighter. Some of the colours in your box might look a bit bright, like this emerald green, for example. But by adding a little bit of red to it, it'll make it a much more natural looking colour. Just a touch of crimson. There's the bright green. And there it is, much more natural looking colour. The next tip is about your choice of paper. It will affect the way your painting looks. The first drawing I'm going to do is a simple one of a mushroom on cartridge paper. I'm going to draw the outline using a dark brown. When I'm happy with the proportions and I've got the mushroom to scale, I can then start filling in with some other colours. A darker brown for the underside. And a little bit of yellow for the top. Some blue-grey for the shading around the stalk of the mushroom. A little bit in the centre there. Dark chocolate around the sides here. And a little touch of crimson as well. It's got quite a pinky tint to it, the mushroom. A little bit more browny yellow. Just trying to get that lip as it curls under, just there. Just darken it around the back there. It's in deep shadow. And under here. And now I'm going to add some water. If your colour looks a little bit too dark on the mushroom, you can squeeze out the brush and lift a little bit off to lighten. I'm going to let it dry now, and then I can just do a little bit more work on it to finish it. I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow under the mushroom to gives a bit of contrast with the light underside there, and it stops it looking as if it's floating across the page. I'm going to do a few more details in the stem here. Just clean up this a little bit sharper there, and a little bit of shadow around here. I'm going to add the water. I'm just going to go back in here because I want it dark, and I'm going to draw straight in with a dark brown because it's very dark in here. So I'm using wet in wet with the pencils. And just put a few more details in. There, I think that's finished now. The next paper I'm going to show you is a watercolour paper with a knot surface. I've drawn in one of the mushrooms and added some water, and I'm going to complete the other one using a brown pencil. Sketch it in lightly. You can see that the rougher paper has quite a different effect on the drawing. I'm going to add some darker brown. A little bit more brown around the base here. Goldeny yellow and across here. A little bit more of a tanny brown across this bit. And a little bit of indigo for the shadow on the stalk. Just a touch in here. And a little bit of shadow cast from the mushroom, just as we did before, to stop it floating off the page. Before I add water, I'm going to lift the shadow on the other mushroom a little bit. Now that I've drawn the other one in, I think that shadow is a little bit dark. I can easily rub it out, take away some of the pencil before I add water. Can't do it after I add the water. So now in with my brush, blending the colours. You can see I'm using the brush quite carefully to actually draw with it.